What's up, everybody?
How's it goes it?
I am JP.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are your CineNerds.
You like that?
Yeah.
Little unison there?
Yeah,
That's
we can
good.
do that without James.
Yeah. Fucking James.
Fucking James.
What's this pick this week?
The pick this week, I chose Late Night with the Devil.
Outstanding.
So,
good choice. A good choice.
It's a newer film, and let's do something new, rather than just hash out some older films. Let's kind of get some newer ones. And if you haven't seen it, that way maybe you'll want to watch it.
This one, quick first impressions. This one I watched twice. I watched it when it first came on digital, and then I watched it recently for this. And both times equally amazing. Was impressed. I like the storytelling. I like the cinematography. I like the camera. Mm-hmm. I like how they try to give it the vintage feel, if you will, the retro feel, with how they filmed it like a 70s show. There's so many amazing elements to this and a different spin on your typical Exorcist stuff that I enjoyed and appreciated. And what gets the talk show host from point A to point B to carry the story was also incredible.
Yeah. So my initial reactions, I've watched this 2.5 times.
2.5 times.
2.5. So I watched it when it first released, and then I watched it right before I left for tour, after I had selected it. And I watched it again last night after I watched our other selections for what we're recording today. And I put this on after because my wife had not watched this film and she wanted to watch it, but she ended up going outside and she ended up watching it anyway. So I ended up watching like half of it before I went to sleep and left it on for her to finish watching. So I've actually watched it only 2.5 times, but I chose it because, like I said, it is a newer film and I really dug this film. And this is kind of what you said. I love the aesthetic of the whole 1970s vibe, talk show vibe. It's just a different take on a possession film, and it seems like most possession films you see are just rehashing what The Exorcist did better to begin with, and this is nothing like that.
No,
it's different.
And you would think just by the trailer, you would think just by everything that's what you're going into is another Exorcist film. And because of the way that it's carried and the way that it's delivered, like you're watching an actual show, a game show at that, not a game show,
late night
show, which was called Night Owls, by the way. You would think that you're getting the Exorcist format, and it's just not. It's good. There's multiple guests on the show that all take part in this. There's the magician, which I found out later. The magician.
He's not a magician. He's a.
No, he was a magician.
Is he a magician as well?
So,
but he does like the psychic reading type things too.
So Carmichael is the character. He was based on a real life James Rand, and basically James Rand was somebody who he taunted and pushed anyone who claimed to have ghosts, possessions, supernatural, anything. He said he would pay them X amount of dollars if they could.
Oh, I was talking about the. I know where I'm talking about the different. I was talking about the other character that started the show.
The first guy.
Yeah, that's who I thought you were talking about.
No. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But he claimed that he would pay them if they could prove him, and no one ever was able to claim the money, or maybe that was just him making everything into a negative. I don't know.
Yeah.
But before we go further into this, if you were watching the end of our last episode, I spaced out for a moment, and there was a reason. It wasn't just because I was spacing out. It was because I'm looking over at the chair that's to my left, and I have a thing of gum. So this thing of gum, there's no vibrations. We're on a basement level. This thing of gum was slowly moving off of the chair. And when I told JP about this, because I started laughing, he thought I was spacing out, and I told him why, and he goes, "Have I told you my ghost story?" So I figured, what better time to tell the ghost story than right now?
Okay. So I waited. I told him, I said, no, let's wait. I will tell this ghost story as we record. So he's hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, I did not hear it before.
Yeah. So I've always been a skeptic over or ghost real or anything. And I'm not like a major believer in any of that stuff. However, I am now a believer, and it happened in my own house. This house where we film CineNerds.
Okay. So go ahead.
We bought this house in 2020. Since we moved here, my wife has like this spice rack. It's a little rack, and it has little individual little shelves in it.
Did you say your wife has a little rack?
Yeah, she has a little rack. And in this spice rack, she is on the wall in the kitchen. It has her grandmother when she passed away.
That's some serious spice, bro.
She got a bunch of these glass thimbles.
Okay.
That have like different characters painted on them and stuff, and different little designs. So in this spice rack is all of her grandmother's glass thimbles. So since we've moved in, for the past 4 years now, every so often my wife will come in. Why do you keep moving these thimbles? And not just like, pushing them back. And there's like this spice rack has like dividers that go this way and dividers that go this way. So it's like, there's little
When you
slots.
edit this, I expect a picture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll take a picture. So there's different slots for, so it's not like these little thimbles are being pushed back or something. Like this one will be in this shelf, and then this one will be here, and they'll flip positions. Like they'll all flip different positions within this spice rack. So my wife has accused me of moving these for 4 years, and I can't do nothing but laugh every time she accuses me because I don't do it. And I've told her, I said, it must be the ghost. And I'm just kind of joking about this. I'm like, it must be the ghost we have here. So this has been going on for 4 years. She has not believed me. She thinks that I'm just playing some practical joke on her. Now, the thing is, I would never fuck with these glass thimbles because they are her dead grandmother's. I would be afraid if I was going to pull this kind of a joke
that you would break it.
I would break it or something. So that I would not do this. And I've explained this to her, and she still didn't believe me. So let's jump to. It was honestly about a week before I left on this last tour. We were coming in, and I think we went to the dollar store or something. So you guys remember an episode a while back, talked about we reviewed the movie. We did Frozen Empire, Ghostbusters. Okay. I bought the Ghost Trap popcorn bucket. Well, that popcorn bucket was sitting. You've seen my kitchen table. It's buried. There's all kinds of stuff. There's chairs here. It was sitting on my kitchen table. But it was actually sitting directly on the table. So I come in, and I'm in my kitchen. My wife is walking behind me, and she just gets to the little threshold going from our living room into the kitchen. I'm in the kitchen. I'm sitting the bags down, and I'm turning to look towards her. As I turn, I watch her stop dead in her tracks as I watch that ghost trap levitate up and shoot across the room. And not just like it flung, it levitated and then
caffeine
shot. And it lifted up. You know how I have the kitchen chairs up against? It lifted up above the chair and then shot across the room.
You saw this.
Saw this. My wife saw it. I saw it. And like I said, I'm not a believer. Broke my ghost trap. My ghost trap is broke. And so I looked at my wife at this point, and I just start laughing. I can't help but laugh. I'm like, do you fucking believe me now?
If there's a ghost here with us, make yourself known.
It gets better. Something else happened right before I left. So, I have like framed pictures and prints all at my upstairs living room and stuff. So I don't know if you noticed, but when you come in my door, I have that Mad magazine in the frame. You remember seeing that one?
Yeah.
Okay. That Mad magazine has fallen and been crooked for like a year or two. I have not took it apart and ever realigned it because I redid it once and it just fell back down. So I was like, I'm not fucking with it. I've just left it. My wife comes in right like a day or two before I leave for tour after the ghost trap thing happened. And she goes, "Oh, you fixed Mad magazine." I said, "No, it didn't."
So the ghost broke one thing and fixed another?
Fixed another.
Bullshit.
Swear to God.
They won't even come on camera right now. We're talking to them, so whatever. I'll buy that crap. My gum's stationary. I keep looking over at my gum and it's not moving again. So I'm guessing maybe it was just my leg twitching and vibrating the floor over here.
So,
I don't know what.
I wouldn't believe this. I would not believe the ghost trap thing had I not seen it. I fucking saw this happen. And like I said, my ghost trap is broke.
I'm still a skeptic, so unless I personally experience it, I'm usually like, I won't acknowledge it. But I will say that I've never known you to lie, and so that's...
What's funny, I didn't tell you this part. As the ghost trap flies across the room, I said that I started laughing, and I looked at my wife and said, "Do you fucking believe me now?" I actually looked at her after that, and I said, "I guess that ghost didn't like my ghost trap."
Who was threatened by the ghost trap? Yeah. What a ironic item.
I know, right?
Anything. So, one of the movies I think I'm going to pick as we get into the Halloween months is going to be Amityville, and I have my ghost story will come from that. But that's where I'm leaving that. But so let's get back into Late Night with the Devil.
Late Night with the Devil.
While we're talking about Late Night with the Devil, Mr. and Mrs. Ghost that's here, if you want to,
You want some gum, it's right over there.
I mean, my cup of water, you can knock that down. You can knock his Dr. Pepper over, move the gum, whatever. Just show us something.
I will say, everything that I've ever seen happen, though, has all happened right there in that corner in that kitchen. Right there where the kitchen table is. And like I said, that Mad magazine is just opposite of that wall. And it's just that little area where I've only ever seen anything weird happen. Because that's where those thimbles are, too. So I don't know if they're isolated there, but something's fucking there.
Do you think maybe, and this is just maybe, little Nicky summoned it?
Hey. You know what? Good. I've not been scared, though. I actually have joked and made fun, and I've literally have not been scared. But it's fucked up. It's weird.
So my whole take, no, I don't believe in ghosts, and I'm gonna sound like a goddamn hippie right now.
I was the same way.
I believe in energy.
I didn't believe in ghosts until I fucking saw my ghost trap fly across the room. And
so that would explain what I'm saying, though. Yeah. Like energies work with that because, to me, if somebody dies of a violent nature. No pun intended, the movie. Sorry, we were just talking about that earlier. Somebody dies in a violent way, if there's something that happens, if there's any kind of residual energy from that experience, whatever it is, then, those things can probably carry over in some way, I would assume, and that's why people get those feelings. Or maybe it's the shadow people. I don't know.
It's fair. But I'm hoping for lizard people.
Those are in the Denver airport.
Okay, Late Night with the Devil. So, we already kind of gave a brief first impressions.
We did, but can we just talk about David Dastmalchian? I butchered his name.
Polka Dot Man?
Let me really get into this for a second here, because he, in DC World, just DC World, because he's in Marvel too, but in DC World, he's been Abracadabra, he's been Glenderman, I don't know what that is. Polka Dot Man.
Well, he was that cop in Dark Knight.
Well, that was it was Joker's thug in Dark Knight.
Joker's thug.
Right. So that's in there too. Brendan in one of them, the Flash. He did the voice for the Flash, and he played Dwight Pollard. So he's literally been 7 different people in DC Universe. Not to mention, this dude. He's one of those. I won't put him in Walter Goggins' realm.
No.
But he's definitely one of those actors who I was happy to see him have a lead role I was happy to see him crush it.
Yeah,
because he deserves it.
I think because of this film, he's going to start getting some,
and it's long overdue in my opinion.
Yeah,
so
and he was great in Suicide Squad as Polka Dot Man.
Yeah,
he was fantastic. He's a great little character actor.
Yeah, for sure.
So, quick synopsis. There's a lot to unpack in this movie, but I'm just going to do a quick synopsis because to really give a synopsis of this film, I mean it's pretty quick. Essentially, this movie is about a talk show host. His wife passes away. He has a hard time, so he's trying to save his show. He's about to lose sponsors, so he plans this big Halloween special. He brings all these psychics and skeptics and a possessed girl onto the show to raise ratings, and things escalate from there. Essentially, it runs like a late night talk show. The whole movie does.
Well, I'm going to rewind about the wife aspect. So there's a local nightclub called The Groove, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the Groove, and the Groove is
was it the Groove or the Grove?
I saw both those written, so I don't know. Groove
because the
Grove.
Grove was the cult or something, not the cult the girl was in. I don't know if you caught this. The cult that he was in.
Well, whatever the case, he made basically a deal or a pact with the devil.
Yes.
And part of this deal was he sacrificed his wife,
Mm-hmm.
and his wife dies of cancer. And the thing with when you make the folklore, the superstition is when you make a pact with the devil, you have 7 years before he comes to collect. And this Halloween night happens to be when the devil decided to collect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the events unfold from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it's the Grove because the cult that he makes this deal with, and it's very weird how that plays out because all this plays out in the first maybe 5 minutes, maybe, and it's all quick clips showing how this guy's talk show became and how he went from a radio personality and how he met this woman, and then all of a sudden in the midst of all this like Hollywood type stuff. And the rise to fame, in the middle of it, there's just a little clip that shows, he goes to the Grove, and it shows like this occult with like owl heads and wild shit. But then it just moves right back on to he's top of the world in People magazine and blah blah blah. So it's a pretty quick little thing that they insert in there to say, hey, this is what he's doing and this is what he did to get here.
Mm-hmm.
Which is. I'll be honest with you, my first watch, I saw it, but I didn't put two and two together that basically he sold his wife's soul in order to achieve his goal. I didn't catch any of that because it's so quick in that intro. I didn't catch it the first watch. It took the second watch for me to catch that.
69 was when he made that pact,
mm-hmm.
and then 76 is when they came to collect. The show itself takes place in 1977 when they're doing this film. So 77 is when he comes to collect. But they chose that year because, do you know why?
I do not.
The only Halloween in the 70s to fall on a Monday night, and they were known for doing things on the talk shows back then, or night shows called Sweeps Week, and that would
mm-hmm.
always happen on a Mondays. They wanted to have that authenticity, if you will. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like to see how that pieced together to really. I like that they were really trying to hone in on the details like that. That was really cool.
So his wife dies, and she comes on the show, which was his highest rated show of all time, but still wasn't enough to beat Carson. She comes on the show. I think it said so many days or so many weeks before she passed away. And after that, he falls apart, and his show takes a nosedive. And kind of what I was saying, the Halloween show with Sweeps Week is where he's trying to regain his fan base. He's trying to make a comeback.
Viewership. He's trying for anything. He's trying to push the envelope, so to speak, to try and take it to that next step. And people really clung on to, I mean, they do today to a toxic fault, but people really clung on to their late night shows and their talk shows and everything that would happen on them because they didn't have much going on. It was really still a interesting world of everything coming to fruition on TV in the full effect. Like you started, 50s with black and white. And you started inching your way up. A lot of people still had black and white in the 70s, but you started inching your way towards that. And people had we had 4 or 5 channels back then. And so you clung onto what you got. And with the ratings that he pulled for this to get creative, he really went all out for this Halloween episode. He, what was the first guest was the
psychic reader. And he's one of those that's like, oh, I'm reading. He goes
generalizations, essentially.
Yeah, generalization type thing. And the first thing he's doing, I'm reading. There's a Peterman. I'm looking for a Peterman, and one guesses a Peterson, and he's like, yeah, and like everything that he's saying is wrong, right. And then he gets another reading, and he's like, I can't remember the name, but he says the kid's name, and there's a family there, and he walks straight to him, and then gets everything right. Which is actually, the reading for them was actually, it wasn't even so much vague. I mean, he was blunt. He was like, this is their name. They're like, yeah. He committed suicide. Yeah. He was pretty young. Yeah. He had a teddy bear named, was it Pappy, or it was something like Pepe or Pappy, or it was something weird. And they're like, yeah, he had this doll. He just wants you to know that everything's okay, you know. So his little psychic thing for them wasn't so much vague like some of them you see, because he didn't even say, is somebody over here in this audience, do you know somebody named Ed? You know, he walked straight to them. You two. You know, blah 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 blah, and so it was a cool little scene.
When did he tie into the wife?
The wife, after that, they're getting ready to go to a commercial break, and then all of a sudden he starts screaming, and he's like, Millie, or
it was the nickname.
It was the nickname
they had between each other.
And he's like, she's looking for an unmarried man with a wedding ring, or something to that nature, and nobody ever stands up. And you find out later that the host is saying, well, I believe it was meant for me. This was a pet nickname that we had in private, and I still wear my wedding band even though my wife is no longer here.
Jack Delroy, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Jack Delroy. And then after that guest, we move on to Carmichael.
The skeptic.
The skeptic, who is the magician, but also looking to disprove people by showing the magic tricks and how they're performed, and then correlating that to people being fakes as far as psychics and all that stuff.
Well, and he even calls out the Amityville, and he calls out the Warrens.
Yep.
And basically calls them all fake. He said without saying they're fake, he said he has a check for $100,000 that proved that anything like this is real. He said, I've never given anybody this check because nobody's actually proved to me that this is real. So basically, he's essentially calling the Warrens, Amityville, all that frauds.
Yes. And even though I'm not telling the story in this episode, I'm going to tell you right now, there's fuckery afoot at that house. That house scared the shit out of me. I'll never go back.
Amityville?
Yep.
I've never been.
I have, and it shook me to my core. I'll just tell you that. So tune in October. Anyways, but no, so we go into the skeptic / magician. And then from there, we bring in the parapsychologist of June with the younger girl, Lily, which is where the fun really begins.
Yeah. And you find out that Lily was part of, she's part of a cult, but she's only survivor from a cult. Right. And the cult did have a different name than the Grove. It was something like the satanic, Satan, something. I can't remember. But I feel like by the end, those cults tie in together. It seemed that way. But she's the only survivor, and she comes out, and she's basically possessed. She's like loosely possessed.
Possessed by what? What's his name?
Was it Braxis?
Mr. Wiggles.
But the person they were worshiping was like a Braxis.
Oh, there's a demon name, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I just remember Mr. Wiggles.
Yeah, Mr. Wiggles, yeah.
That was good for me.
That's what she called him, yeah.
Yeah. That girl, speaking of like quality actors and actresses, like I was impressed for that young of a girl to.
She was creepy.
Yeah.
She was weird. Like she would just sit and stare into the camera.
Like you were entranced by her, and she was delivering a performance that was very, very well done.
Yeah.
Especially for a younger actress. So.
And she even said something I caught when I didn't catch this the first 2 times, but I caught it last night when my little half watch, because that's about the time right before went to bed right before they got to the actual possession part where they actually sit in the chairs in front of each other. But they bring them on, and they talk for a few minutes, and they go to a commercial break, and they decide to bring the demon out. But when they go to break, she turned to the host as he's getting up and walking.
Jack Delroy.
And it was weird. I called it last night, and like she's staring at the camera. And he's like, we're going to commercial. You don't have to stare at the camera anymore. But she's still just sitting there staring. And he gets up, and he walks next to her, and she stops, and she turns and looks at him and goes, and it's almost you hear 2 voices.
Yeah.
When she speaks, and she's like, "How do I look?" And it sounded like his wife's voice with her.
Because Satan's trying to fuck with him.
Yeah, yeah. And it was, I never caught that the first 2 times. I called it last night, and I was like, wow, how did I miss that? That was like so odd, but there it was right there.
Well, rewind before we get down into that part. So the psychic, he gets hauled away in an ambulance.
Yeah, he starts projectile vomiting
black
stuff onto the skeptic, and he gets hauled off by the paramedics. You hear the paramedics pull up. I believe once the girl and the little girl's out there before he cuts. I think it's in that scene where you actually hear the ambulance.
I don't remember.
I think it is. But then you find out, or maybe it wasn't, because I think it was right after that. Actually, it had to be before then. But you do find out in that commercial break before the possession part. The showrunner comes up and says that he died. He tells him that he died on the way to the hospital. And
that was. I was like, ooh, okay, this has potential still, because at that point, you're still very. It's still very vanilla, I guess.
Yeah, there's not a lot that happens up until.
No, it's literally filmed just like you'd see a normal night show or something. But from there, it goes up a little bit more. So, we'll skip ahead of the skeptics portion, and we'll go. It's kind of interesting how he breaks down, how he sees his version of what the psychic was doing and how he'd get away with it.
Yeah,
and almost broke that family's heart a little bit because they were shattered, like thinking they had been swindled that easily, and somebody was giving information. But we move into the parapsychologist, and June and Lily, when they come back from that commercial break, they have the chair set up, and they begin. And I'll let you go from there.
Yeah, she does basically kind of like a hypnosis thing to get the demon to come out, and you see lights move, things are happening. You're seeing sparks and stuff above, like messing with the lights, like something's traveling to her. But then when the possession happens, her face changes. Is very reminiscent of Linda Blair. Yeah. That's where I was going with, like, the subtle changes in her face and the dual vocal with the demon and her voice combined. Yeah, it's just it's a fucking weird scene. It gets
when you watch The Exorcist, and especially the later years when they made it pop more, and you start seeing those little ghost things in the background. Those things were huge, and they definitely went for some of that here. And
yeah,
I appreciated that too. I like how he wasn't like most people that have a soul would see this young girl going through something like this and be like, you know what, that's a wrap. We're going to cut this. This is too much. He pushes it.
He pushes it, and then he's telling her, we need to do this like once a week. We need to do this again. You know, we keep bringing her on.
He's seeing the ratings spike.
Yeah.
He's hearing his network guy come up to him in his ear being like, we have to keep going. This is great. This is great. And it just builds from there and keeps getting creepier and weirder and more intense. Yeah.
Well, then you get the skeptic.
Which aspect are we at with him?
Well, where he's basically saying, "Oh, it's a fraud. That didn't really happen. You know, I can prove it. It was she hypnotized everybody in this room, and a lot of people watching on TV. She hypnotized them to see what she wanted them to see." Is essentially what he was saying.
What's I'm having a brain fire. What's it called? And you get the flashes of. Where they're trying to brainwash.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, that's instantly what I thought of.
Well, and so he to prove this, he does it to his announcer and basically brainwashes everybody who he can within the audience and on TV to see what he wants them to see. Like, and he shows the host or the announcer start pulling bugs out of him and ripping his guts out and everything. It gets really gory, really graphic, really quick.
And then we all find out that he has hypnotized them for this. So yeah,
and you find out that he's not really, his intestines aren't really on the ground. That it was all part of him hypnotizing. And then he actually says, "It's like, how many people saw this, and then how many people did not see this?" You know, you are the ones that I could not hypnotize, and the ones that saw this are the ones that I could. And
I thoroughly enjoyed that scene. I thoroughly enjoyed the actor who played Jack Delroy, David. I thoroughly enjoyed watching his mannerisms throughout these moments too, and the way that his facial expressions and the acting he's putting across as kind of a background person while the skeptic is doing his thing. I don't know. I just appreciated every aspect of it.
Well, I mean, we're basically at the end of the movie. I mean, this movie moves quick. I mean,
so the end is a lot.
The ending is a lot. No, I mean, we're at the end, but there's a lot to unpack in the ending.
So talk about Lily and Mr. Wiggles and how Mr. Wiggles starts coming forward more. Like, because it keeps escalating every time.
Yeah.
So, talk about it.
Go ahead.
Go
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, because it's been a minute. I can't remember every detail.
Me either.
Because I watched this one before Tor, other than the first time.
So, essentially, every time they try and provoke Mr. Wiggles, or Wriggles. I don't know if it's Wiggles? I don't remember.
I thought it was Wiggles. But
I thought so, too, but I'm looking at my writing, and it looks like there's an R there, so I don't know if it's Mr. Wriggles or what now. But every time they provoke, it comes back even more intently, and the words that are happening, they're using Jack Delroy's deceased wife to really go at Jack and to really make him see these things and start diving deeper into the that's the thing too I like about the end of this. By the time this movie's over, you don't know
what's real and
what's real and what's not, because you don't know if people were hypnotized, if something went wrong and while they're being hypnotized. You don't know if Jack Delroy is in his own personal hell. You don't know what's going on, because it could be that the devil, when he collected on Jack Delroy for the 7 years, it could be that he's already in his own hell and that's where he's at. Because at the end of the set, it's Jack standing in blood and everyone's dead. I
actually have a theory. My theory on the ending. So this plays out. At this point, like you said, it builds up with her being possessed by Mr. Wriggles.
The gum hasn't moved, by the way.
Yeah. Yet. So she basically starts killing people. Her head splits open and fucking shit's flying everywhere. It gets bonkers. But the host,
Jack
Delroy. Basically, he goes into what you're unsure at this point if it's visions, reality, what it is. But he sees his dead wife. He sees his wife as she's dying, and you can tell that he's the reason she's dying. But then you're starting to see the owl people, from the owl cult from the Grove. Then you're seeing the cult from where the little girl was at. You're starting seeing those people show up. So this was my takeaway.
I'm going to listen, but I have to look up something. Go ahead.
This is my interpretation, and this was my takeaway of what the ending was. That there was somewhat of a tie between the two cults.
That's what I'm checking, actually.
And that Lily was supposed to be sacrificed. Was the other interpretation that I was getting. That her as a little girl, she was supposed to be sacrificed. But then the cops were raiding the place, and they burned the place. The cult followers burned the place and burned everybody in it. She just happened to be survived. Therefore, she ended up being a kind of a vessel for this demon.
I think the vessel killed everyone. I mean, though, I think she did, but...
Well, yeah, no, I think that everybody you saw her kill, yes. But I think that sacrifice needed to still be made. And so, for him to pay more onto his debt, my interpretation was the cults and the demon wanted Jack Del Rey to kill that girl as a sacrifice.
Kind of like a twofer.
Yeah.
Because they get him to repay his 7 years to the devil, and okay, I can see that's plausible.
And the original sacrifice that didn't get sacrificed with that little girl, they're making him do that sacrifice on live TV. That was my interpretation.
Exclusive club, The Groove. The club was the Groove. The cult was the Grove.
Okay, so I was right. The cult was the Grove. And the other cult where the Lily was from was they were called something different. It wasn't the Grove.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, it's. I looked at it last night, and now I can't.
Wriggles too, Mr. Wriggles.
Wriggles, okay. What was your interpretation?
I don't know. That's one of the reasons I enjoyed this so much, though,
Yeah.
is because you just see him standing in the blood, and everyone's dead. And I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" Because I really enjoyed that. But then I like movies that leave it like that. Maybe you don't like. I'm sure if I dug enough online, I could find a clear-cut answer. But my takeaway from this movie was that I was left to interpret it how I wanted to. But
You essentially are.
yeah, and I enjoyed that. It's kind of like those. Anything that does that for me is like a choose your own adventure book, and I love choose your own. By the way, I just found one of those for my 11-year-old, one of the old school ones. Thanks to Applejack's Toys. Anyways, the not knowing if it was because he was hypnotized himself or if because he's possessed now or whatever's happening, but then that still be the end result, and what he was seeing is not what we were seeing, and vice versa. Like all these things made for a stellar ending.
Well, and this is why I think this is the sacrifice he had to make, because when he kills Lily, he didn't realize he was killing Lily.
No, he didn't.
He thought he was sacrificing his wife.
Right.
But yet, when it all came to light, he had sacrificed Lily. So that's why I think that it was it was kind of a trickery in order to get him to do the sacrifice that the one cult was supposed to do.
I still like the hell theory. If he's in his own hell and he ends up killing a little girl, but he thought he was killing the wife, and could be and he might be doomed to repeat that.
Yeah,
I
had that one. I had that theory too, and that was actually what I thought the first watch.
Yeah,
and the second watch is where I landed with the idea that I feel like it was a sacrifice that had to be made.
Okay. I like all that. Are we already... No, yeah, we're already about that time.
Yeah, I didn't even look up the budget. Did you?
We got? No, I did not. But
okay.
I can pull it up. I think I can pull it up.
I've got it. I'll pull it up.
I got it.
You already got it?
No, I don't have the budget. I have the box office numbers.
Okay. Well, I'll pull the budget up. Okay.
Because retro is so expensive, as backwards as that is.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it costs $30 million.
Okay, I'm actually having a hard time finding the actual budget on this. It's described as a low-budget movie. Film had grossed blah, 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 blah. Why are you not giving me... Wow, it's not really giving me the actual budget. It's saying...
There's an Australian horror film that's called Late Night with the Devil?
I think it's the same movie.
No.
Is it not?
It says the film's producer and visual effects supervisor, Adam White, said the visual effects budget was $150,000, which meant each effect cost around $500. The limited budget inspired the crew to be creative, and they ended up creating almost 300 visual effects. That's the same movie.
Okay, box office...
I got box office.
Box Office Mojo. Sometimes it'll give, but no, it's not giving it.
No,
either.
I didn't see anything like that. All right, well, let's go to
wow.
box office then.
So we cannot find a budget for this. So I don't know if this is going to make money.
If you do the effects, $150,000 in effect times 300, I'm sure it'll.
I'm sure this movie made money. I do know it was a low budget.
Yeah, I mean, my $30 million was just me assuming because everything's backwards now. I feel like when you try and do the retro or like 35 millimeter, anything 8 millimeter, whatever you try and do.
Well, we can find where it says that they did visual effects for $150,000 on this film. I can find that, but I can't find an actual budget.
I said that backwards. There's 300 effects. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
150.
So yeah, we can't find a budget. So.
Well, opening weekend in the U.S., we're looking at $2.8 million. It's U.S. and Canada. Gross U.S. and Canada, $10 million. And then gross worldwide was $12.5 million.
Yeah. I saw it was over $12 million. I'm sure this made money. This movie, everything it's reading is basically saying that it was done on a fairly low budget. So I would imagine they probably did
$45 million budget.
Are you kidding me? Where are you finding this?
Screen Rant. It says a horror movie with a $45 million budget bombed at the box office last year, but Late Night with the Devil's success finally makes up for its, let's see, what does it say?
Probably for the streaming, because a lot of people streamed this. This was a limited release in theaters too,
which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so $45 million box office bomb is what it's called. So it didn't make money, which, you know what? Like, if you were just to see the trailer, it looks so old-timey and you don't get a lot of the gore or the scare parts.
I was excited. I wanted to go to the theater and watch it, but I didn't ever see it in the theater where I could watch it around here. I'm sure it was at some point for like a week or so, but then it was in and out.
Unless something's got stunning, crazy effects, I'll more often than not, I'll lean towards home. I was really bummed out about Furiosa. Like I told you, I wanted to go to see that in IMAX, and I didn't make it in time. But that's what it is.
Oh, you missed out. So I'm going to say you missed out.
I believe you. Maybe I'll go home and watch that tonight. We'll see.
Furiosa is so fucking good. I don't care what anybody says. Best movie I've seen all year.
All right.
Rating.
Okay. So this movie was unique on multiple fronts. It gave a different twist on an old classic. I enjoyed immensely. I enjoyed the acting out of David Dastmalchian. I'm probably butchering it again. But he is really, really a unexpected treasure, if I have to be honest. I think he's going to do good things moving forward. Lily, the young actress who played the girl who was possessed, the survivor of the cult, she kicked ass too. Her acting was awesome. And then given the unknown variables at the end, that it all comes to a climatic ending with, and what you see and the unknown variables that you don't know exactly what happened, keeping that gray, all made for a really great horror film to me. And I enjoyed it. So I'm going to do a flat 4.
Okay. All right.
4 nerds.
4 nerds. So I chose this movie because I just generally enjoyed it. I thought it was a very original, creative film and a new take on possession films. And, you know, I've always had this thing with possession films. I typically do not like them. Other than the Exorcist films,
We disagreed on the recent Exorcist.
Yeah, I hated the new Exorcist, but I loved the original 3 Exorcist movies. Those were the only possession films that I generally really ever loved, other than Evil Dead, but I don't consider that so much of a possession film, even though it really is. So, for me to like a possession film, it has to be original. And this movie is fucking an original possession film.
Yeah.
And
I can't wait to add this to my collection, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and I own it digitally. I don't own a physical copy, but I will be buying this on a physical copy. I land at a 3.9 with this one.
Jesus.
So we are just on par these 2 episodes.
Yeah, this last episode and this one, we're moving along here nicely.
God damn, where's James? Fucking James.
Jesus,
we need somebody to lower our numbers.
We need that 0.48673 to 48678.
Well, I like this one because the guy was in a Batman movie.
Don't lie. He'd be like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Well, what the fuck? I don't know what the fuck I just watched, but I do like that guy. He was in a Batman movie.
Yeah, I mean, he would definitely remember him in Dark Knight, so that would be his win. So I'd give it a 2 based on that. 0.86732.
Niner.
All right.
We're going to make fun of James at the end of every episode.
Oh, just wait. Just wait. There's going to be a dummy here. It's going to happen.
James, if you are not back filming with us the next time, after these 4 episodes we were recording, there will be a dummy across from me.
And even if you are here, there'll be a dummy across from you. All right. You're missed, James. That's all. All right. So we give our ratings. So 3cinenerds@gmail.com is the email. I hope you guys all know that by now. Do us a favor. I know I'm taking a little bit of thunder away from JP, but I'm going to push this too. Do us a favor. Like, share, leave a review. The more you share us, you help us immensely. So if you're a supporter of the show, you love what we're doing, get us out there. Help us spread the word. The best way we can do that is through the people we don't know, which might be friends of yours. So please share it. Talk about it. Whatever you got to do. We appreciate it. And thanks for listening to our ramblings and our love of movies. That aside, whatever you're listening to, whatever streaming platform you choose, just go into our Facebook bio and you can check out all the options we have for you, so you can give it a listen and check out that merch store while you're there.
Share, review, repeat.
Share, review, repeat. I like it.
Later,
guys. Thank you.